Okie dokie, let's unmute and get started. That's even better than what I just said. Right, so I'm back. I'm exhausted. So, instead of sleep, let's go make some games. I'm David from PhotoPixel. I make games for fun. Questionable when I feel totally exhausted. But that's just part of life. Sometimes we feel exhausted, and it's kind of when you got to choose, do I go and get some sleep, or do I do stuff that will make progress on something that I want to make progress on? Anyway, enough vague ranting. I'm going to do my stream. I'm going to work on my games, and I'm going to make sure that I finish my stream on time so I can go and get enough sleep so that I'm not too tired on the next stream. I also took a bit of time to make this cup of tea. And there were some humans who were taking a bit longer to settle than I would have liked. But that's humans, they're not robots. And even if they were, robots aren't completely reliable. Right. Let me just see here. I'm just doing a little quick thing on here before I we launched update. Yeah, before I get back to before I transition this over to the development screen. So I've been working on my robots game, and I was trying to use OneNote for that, and it was just being really unreliable. I'm not sure why, but the fact that it can have that happen is very off-putting. So I think I'll not try to do that. I've just got another. Basically, I'm switching to using Workflowy, which is a pretty cool thing. It's got a few downsides. The main one being that it's primarily web-based, and that the installable app is just a wrapper around a web app. And it tends to read. I think, get the impression that when you open up a node, I think it loads all of your nodes, and which wouldn't be a problem, except I tend to keep too many nodes. But yeah, I was going to redo some stuff, and I haven't kind of started redoing it properly, so I'm just going to make myself a new node here. And actually, I'll put that node here instead. Will I? Oh, it refuses to go there. Let me put it there and then move that one there. Okay, cool. So that'll probably do. Let's transition over here. Yeah, so I'm in no way affiliated with Workflowy, but it's basically it's a tool I found that really helped with the way that I do development. The problem I had with development and sort of task lists is that you have task, but then you'll have like a subtask and a sub-subtask, and you know you might be like 10 layers down, you know, shaving a yak on the Himalayas, and that's not anything even closely related to the main task you're trying to do, but it's just for some reason it's something you have to do to pave the way to get it done. And so I'm just one level deep in a new node I've created that's not got anything in it yet. I won't go to my top level one because that's got a bunch of stuff in there that I haven't cleaned up, and who knows what privacy that would be an issue for. So yeah, there we go. That gives us a bit more. But yeah, it's a pretty cool tool. What I've got here is like just over there. I've got my my OneNote stuff in OneNote here to do. Move these notes out of OneNote. So I think I'm just going to do. I'm just going to grab everything out of here quickly, and just pop it on some things. So I'll just maybe grab like I'll put those under this one as like the contents of it. Yep. And we've got like a checklist of tasks and stuff like that. Let's see what happens if I just try and copy paste that whole thing, say here. How'd that go? So it hasn't nested them very much. So let's just like nest those in there. And that's meant to be nested. And that's meant to be nested there. And these two here, they're meant to be like a note under that. And I've got that. And then it's like a kind of a break. And then got those two. Like parameterized actions. That is its own thing. It wasn't a checklist item, but it should be. And set up a victory condition. So there we go. That's everything that I had in OneNote, out of OneNote because it wasn't performing very well. And now let me get this a bit organized. So basically, Workflowy, you can kind of zoom in on a node and treat that as your top level temporarily. So that's handy. You can star a node that you're on. And also, like this one was completed. So I can just, I've hit Control Enter there. But you can show completed items. You can also make things be like to-do items. So they've got a checkbox that you can check. And if you've got a, can I do that to a bunch of them at once? To do, there we go. It will like automatically automatically make the next one a checkable item. So that's kind of cool. I guess I'll call this the task backlog. And I'll have a bugs thing for bugs if I have any bugs. I'm sure I have bugs, but just a place to put those. Okay, so here's what I'm up to. So I was working on this, wasn't I? Yeah. I'm going to grab that and just pop this under here, I think, because that's what I was working on. And I can do like, I can put that there. And then if I want to grab like the current task, that'll filter down to that tag. So that can be kind of useful. You can also mirror nodes. So you could have like a current task. And I could grab this. It's a shortcut to copy of mirror, and you just pop that there. And now that will update with that. If I put something in there, that something will now be under there too. And that can be distant as well. It doesn't have to be anywhere nearby in the tree. Anyway, I think I'll basically just go like, let's make a plan for today. The stream. Yeah, stream. Or probably just like, yeah, up next. And so I could do that. It's like a nested part of that. But I think I won't do that mirrored right now. Just delete that. But I'll just move this whole thing. So there's my current task. I've done that. I'm just going to delete it. Good, mark it as complete, but hey. And up next, I think I'm going to add sensors next. Yeah, so these are updates to how the routines work and the routine editor. And all those are. I could probably those a bit better. And probably I'll flesh out the routine functionality. Yep. Those two are kind of related. Parameterized actions, so being able to block for a different amount of time. The victory condition, I might do that sort of sooner rather than later, so that there's actually a way to sort of win. So I guess I'll probably call that gameplay loop. Like a basic gameplay loop. And so that'll be, you need to set up some kind of victory condition, set up basic menu to like restart. And maybe change enemy factories to like some kind of enemy spawners that aren't controllable. So these are not necessarily robot building factories. Could be any enemy, and it doesn't have to go the same way robots are constructed. Or on the other hand, it could just be factories that aren't selectable and have... Oh, I got a chat. Something's working. Omega Killer, welcome. And Gyro Matthias. So this side of my face has gone red, and I'm sure you can probably hear the ding over here. I'm going to just dismiss that. So, how long do we have there? 31, 38. Sorry, I missed your messages for several minutes there, Omega Killer. I actually hadn't reset this. I'd forgotten to. I set up a pixel notifier. So this is, I was trying to find a way to get the chat to make noise for YouTube chats. And it used to be a feature that Restream had in this chat widget here. Whoops. I actually moved that over the top of some zones. So I ended up getting this thing. Actually still had it open here, didn't I? I got Pixel Notifier, and oh, that thing just keeps dinging. That's actually kind of cool. Yeah, I got this Pixel Notifier. I'll pop that in the chat if you're curious. And I've just basically set it up to have a... Oh, thanks for the Dropbox. It's almost full. I almost forgot that it was almost full. Yeah, I've just set it up with points down along here, which, if they're this background color, it will detect them and basically just do a full screen notification over on that other monitor, which is red, which is why we get red light coming from over here. And so I think it must have just missed probably something to do with the heights that might have been in between these. I was going to do it every 10 pixels, but then I realized it sort of breaks if you have more than 9 because of whatever reason. I think it's something to do with how the menu is made. But yeah, so I've got kind of 9 points down here that'll activate. So far, we have got 0.1 through 5 activated. So it's not a permanent solution, but it at least means that if I start a stream and there's no chat activity and I'm getting into stuff and some chats come in, I've got a much higher chance that I'll notice. Anyway, Gyro Matthias, you've destroyed all the factory and nothing happens. Is that right? Yes. It isn't finished yet, exactly. Let me get the magnifier going, because then I can actually point stuff out. And that's actually related to what I was just talking about here. So let me minimize that. So basically, I've just moved... Oh dear. I've just done the hide everything shortcut of shaking the window. Because apparently I just shake windows around. I'm just a bit too violent with windows. There we go, magnifiers here. Okay, so yes, here's the question. I destroyed all factories in the right, and nothing happened. Is that right? I mean, isn't it finished yet? Exactly, not finished yet. This is a prototype. And so yeah, I've just moved all of the tasks out of OneNote because it just was not performing. And is this using... There we go. Which variant of English are we using here? Yeah, this is basically the thing that will make that happen. So this is in my backlog, so it's not the current task, but it's, let's say probably that's what's up next, is get the basic gameplay loop going. So that will be setting up a victory condition, like all the factories, enemy factories being destroyed, set up a basic menu to restart, just so that you've got a button to start again, and maybe, so basically make sure they're not controllable, and I was just sort of speculating about what I could do. factories that aren't selectable and have like different or higher rates of resource production, depending on difficulty. There we go. And some way to randomize maybe the bots and routines. That'd be interesting. Just have all of these enemy factories just make random, sort of keep choosing random things to make every now and then, random parts, random actions to do, and then see if they become successful. Ooh. Okay, my brain's kind of going off on a tangent here, just with that idea, because once you've got randomness, if you can have some kind of success heuristic, then you can feed that back into your randomness and do some kind of selection and make a genetic algorithm, which basically expands the scope, but it's super interesting. So that's an interesting one. And this is coming from me just thinking, oh, what can I just quickly do to get a basic gameplay loop happening? Note, I'll just make a specific note here. And just make it a bullet point. Note, do not make a genetic algorithm to have the bots, have the factories learn what bots to make, because that would blow out the scope. That's a thing for later. If I have the game all working and want to do something fun, then yeah, be able to have the factories get a bit of info about how far their bots got before being destroyed, if they damaged enemy factories, and if they take damage, and then just kind of keep trying random things, and then out of the more successful random things, merge those blueprints together in some semi-random way, like randomized choosing which of the two, or even more than two, top performing blueprints it should choose each part from, and then same with the routines, just some kind of semi-random choosing, exactly the way that our genetics works. We've got two parents, and well, each parent has two full copies of the genome, and there's basically a semi-random process in which it'll make a copy of the genome, but it'll swap around just along the same chromosome. It'll kind of at random, it'll switch back and forth which one it's making, and then it'll make two basically half copies that have a random combination of the two different genomes from your grandparents, and then you end up with one full copy of a genome from each parent, which are mosaics of of a pair of grandparents, and then that's what you get to work with. And then you have particular eye color and hair color and a certain level of durability and that kind of thing. Anyway, I might as well implement it if I'm going to spend too long talking about it, so let's not do that. Let's just look at this current task, which is there, and I think I might do the beard man. There we go. That makes it just quicker to see what I'm on right now. But good thing is I can just zoom in on this, and I can see where I'm up to with this. I might make that a bit smaller now and put it somewhere. Kind of here, if I hide that and do that. So I think it's already doing that, but what was I up to? According to my notes, I was up to... It's got long block animation added on shield. I think this might have been an old note, actually. That's just random something that I added when I was demoing something. And let me pop that over there for now, out of the way. And just have a look at where my code is at. I really think I need to make a commit too. I haven't committed for a while. And this is going to be way too much stuff in here. But there's a lot in here, and I think I'm just going to probably just check all of this in because I might as well make one giant commit now, and if I want to split it up later, I can, but I probably won't. So I've updated sprites and all kinds of stuff. What was the last thing that I did? Oops. I haven't made a commit in 22 days, which means that's probably about 9 streams. Must have been busy. Anyway, RoboParts have costs. We got malfunction, we got lasers, and all kinds of stuff. So probably about 9 streams. Yeah, multiple features. Yeah, part costs, part interface. We've done, yeah, loads of different things. Yep. Yeah, see, sometimes I'll just need to finish the stream quickly. Actually, that makes sense. I've had a much stricter bedtime because I really need to rest for healing some cartilage that's not doing great. So I'm much more likely to finish my stream without making a commit and then forget to or just want to get into stuff for the next stream. Yeah, I guess I can review streams to what I got up to if I want. There we go. So now we're back to a clean slate. And yes, better get back into some better habits of regular commits. Because even though it's much less important when you're just working solo, because you're not trying to make your commits be readable by other people, which is what I kind of spend a lot of my day job doing, helping people to get their code in a nice state that's going to be readable by the whole team. Yeah, not as important, but it's still my save point. And yeah, if I messed up something horribly, then I haven't got that save point there. Hello, Gabriel Ganchev. 1,000 additions, 2,000 removes. Changes or syncing. Yeah, that's a really bad habit because it doesn't say anything about what it is. I mean, by definition, a change is going to be changes. Syncing, less so. Hang on, let me stop this dinging from the chat because that's going to everybody as well, isn't it? Yes, welcome back. But yeah, in personal projects, it's mainly you might be shooting yourself in the foot if you need to go back and figure something out. But I guess the earlier on it is in the project, where if it's more sort of prototyping and just getting all the pieces roughly in place, the less important it is. If it is something where it's just like an automated syncing process, as long as you know what that is, I'd probably go for a little bit more than that. But yeah, that's another part of my day job, is just coaching people about how to write good commit messages so that they make sense to like the main context in which they should make sense is, if I'm looking at this, I should be able to find the change I'm looking for just by reading these. And so using what is the tense called? It's like imperative first person present tense. So I think basically just this should be a continuation of the sentence. If I apply this patch, it will, and then so if I apply this patch, it will add costs to RoboParts. So that's what this patch, which this commit represents, will do to my code base if applied at the right place. If you keep everything like that, it just means you're not switching from using from this to like using past tense, like added costs to RoboParts. It's like slightly more verbose, and it doesn't add anything. So if you kind of keep to a particular standard of commit messages, that's good. And try and keep them really concise, because this is the main thing you're going to be doing with them is you're like either scrolling through looking for something, or you've gone, oh, it got broken by this change, what was that? And then, if you've got a ticketing system and you're tracking things with tickets, then you want this to ideally have the ticket ID as well, because that way then you can go, oh, what was this change? And then you can go and look up and go, well, what was the ticket related to it? What was the discussion on there? What were the details of that? So you can find out if something got broken, was that an on-purpose change, or was that had like a side effect that wasn't anticipated, or was it just like a accidental change, or what? Anyway, enough about commit messages. So don't do this if you can help it. You're much better off having like 100 commits that are all just like work in progress. Got it a little bit further along, because you can always squash them back together later. You can always just do an interactive rebase, and you can go, yeah, I want to take those bunch of commits, and I'll just squash them into one commit. And if that made sense. This is not an example of something that makes sense for that. But yeah, Git's wonderful, like for working on a team too, because you can just be working on your local branch, and you can make like 10 commits for a single change. Just like every time that you've got it in sort of a working state, you can have a commit as a save point. Oh, cool! That was when Boop got named. Bit of history. Hey, Boop. Pat. Need to add a reward functionality so I can use it to give Boop a pat or a Boop. Yeah, you can have all these messy commits. Just sort of, the process of making code is not always very clean, but then you can just squash them all together, give it a nice commit message, clean it up, and then by the time someone's taking time to review your code, or someone else is reading your code to work on it, you're not wasting a bunch of their time trying to understand all of the mess in between. So yeah. Okay, that's enough monologuing, because I'm going to end up with a sore throat. Where was I? I was just checking how. I'm pretty sure I got to the point where all of the RoboParts had all the relevant animators. Animator controller? any state we got. Yeah, there we go. It's animator controller. Yeah, so they're named the right thing for the. They actually have the name of the action, and that means that you can have two different actions, and I won't have to write new code. Well, you can have as many different actions as you like, and I won't have to write new code every time for a simple activatable part, because instead of playing activate, it plays whatever the name of that action is. So that's good. That means this bit of code won't have to change whenever I make a new part or add a new action to a part, or I won't have to make like a subclass like I have with shield. And there is a reason to have that. Actually, let me check. Do we need a different activate? Let me pop that on. That's I'm used to the other kind of drag to the edge there that VS Code has. So let's just have a look at these next to each other. We've got the simple activatable part, and we've got activate. And that's the same as that. That's the same. We got the on cooldown and the broken check. We've got animated not equal null. Play that. Okay. The fact that we've done that means that now I don't actually need this override in shield, because that's identical to that. Now broken we do need to, because it has a special thing, because it's a hittable object. So it has that structure that can take damage. And I wonder, this is not actually specific to shield, is it? I mean, it is right now. Shield is the only thing that has this. But am I using that? That is the grayed out version, right? Like if I delete those, we're fine, aren't we? Nothing's breaking. It's the compile that will pop up here that's going to not break. Oh, I wonder if this animator is active. Oh, that was the difference, wasn't it? It's doing action here. Animator is active. See, we've got a different animator is active, but I think this is specifically checking, is it idle? Is it playing? That's not actually checking if it's playing activate. So that's now a lie. Animator is playing. Current animation is that. So yeah, I changed that, and that made this be a lie. So let's rename that to make it true. Animator is not idle. Now I'm just checking because I think this might even be unneeded here. So we're calling animator is playing. So it's literally calling that. And not current animation is idle. Current animation is, so hang on, animator is playing. And not current animation is idle. Yeah, that's the same as that. Like it's doing the same thing except missing that check. So we don't need that. And we don't need that because that's doing the same thing. So there we go. Nice. Less code. And we're literally only using this for this one thing. But I think that's okay because I might use it for something else. But I think I can inline this. And yeah, I'll inline that as well because it's readable, right? That makes sense. Animator is playing and not current animation is idle. And we're going to return false if animator is null. Cool. So now that's animator is not idle. And that is true. Cool. Okay. So that's great. We've made that shield only have this, and that doesn't even have to be called shield now. I'm going to make a commit though. Yeah, I'll make a commit first. So yeah, we're just going to simplify. I might just say reduce something like that. Reduce duplication. There's different. There are other there's sort of schemas you can schemas is the word that you can use to decide how to structure your commit messages. So there's some things that are like feature, and I forget what you put here. Something here that's a summary of it, and then you can kind of have different things, and that allows you to generate release notes automatically from your commit log, and then you don't have to kind of manually keep track of what merged and what didn't to make release notes. Oh, more messages. Sorry, I've missed some. Oh, right, yeah. So this is just programming for a hobby that I'm doing right now, making games. So making games has so far paid 0 bills. I would like if it paid at least something, at least pay for some tea bags or something. But yes, my full-time job is programming for money. And so yeah, I'm a senior developer with well, it's kind of a big team, but it's split into front end and back end, but it's sort of half split. So there's a bit of crossover. So on the front end side, I think we've got about fewer than 10 developers now. I think just thinking about how many are on the team front end, primarily front end, we've probably got about 6 or 7. And oh, cool! I really need to move something. So, okay, Mallymore, you've rated my stream. Thank you. So yeah, what was I just talking about? I was just answering this. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I put no effort into shaving my beard, and so that's kind of probably contributed mostly. Anyway, so where was I? Welcome, new people. I don't know if I've had a raid before. Well, no, I have a long time ago. I haven't had a raid for a while. So just for those newly joined people, I've been working on this robot game. It's still kind of in early prototype stage, but I have actually got around to making like a to-do list, a proper one that's not just some nested game objects here. I should probably make sure everything. I think I've got all those copied across. And I've just been doing a little refactor, and I had this shield for the. Well, let's show you the shield, show you the game. The game is, I think, in the description, but it's also, if you go to my itch, which is just there, you can find command bots, and it's playable. There's no game loop right now, as was noticed in this comment here. Basically, these are the enemy factories, but you can just select them and control them. But these factories make robots. This is the blueprint for the robot that's being made. And I think we've got like a double shield. Here's the double shielding one. So it's just got a pair of shields, standard legs. It doesn't need those legs because it's not turning left or right. So we'll just give it the budget legs that can only walk forward. So you can see that disables the left and right. It can't actually laser because it has no laser. So we'll get that out of the routine. And let's just have it like block. I'll do a long block and walk forward. And maybe do another long block. That can be their routine. And so basically trying to destroy this factory over here. Or you can, the steering left and right doesn't quite work very consistently. Yes, I've been coding for, I don't know, you kind of stop counting it after a decade. When did I start coding? And it, like, I've been learning, I started learning coding like, more than 20 years ago. Started working in it professionally, would it be like 15 years or so ago? And so, I'm a senior dev now. I still write quite a lot of code, but I spend a fair chunk of my day job time sort of helping other people write better code and learn how to write better code. So how are these guys going? Basically these robots, you can select one, you can see its routine, and so that one's doing a long block, another long block, stepping forward. I'm glad I didn't add too many long blocks because they start running into each other and taking damage. You can see this one's shield is a bit damaged, but it's doing its job. That shield absorbed pretty much most of what was getting thrown at it, and they're damaging the factory by walking into it. But you can laser the factory. These ones are doing really well. Just the step forward and shoot and don't even use your shield and waste resources on stuff. Not very challenging, and that's one of the things I need to add is basically allow you to turn up the difficulty on these. These, you can't change their routine once they're out of the factory. I haven't got that reflected in the UI yet, but basically whatever they're programmed to do when they finish being built, you can see this one's progress bar. Building another one now. Whatever they programmed to do, they're just going to blindly go through that routine and do it. And I say blindly, and that's true right now, but one of the next things I'm going to do here is basically add the basic gameplay loop. So setting up a victory condition, so when you've destroyed all the enemy factories, you can get a victory screen, and you can choose to restart and probably add some difficulty settings, and also make it so that you can't control the enemy spawners, which I think is worded in a really weird way just there, but that's okay. I'll know what I mean. And I've just got a note here to not write a genetic algorithm because that will just blow out the scope, but it's the kind of thing that I'm very tempted to do. So this is a script here for the parts that get attached. So they're attached onto mount points, which is sort of represented here. So these are mount points, and you can drag parts onto there. But these mount points here aren't used yet, but this is where the sensors are going to go. And I haven't made any sensors, but once there are sensors, I'll need to update this because it'll need to be able to branch in some way. So it'll need to be able to go, okay, if there's an enemy in front, if I've got the enemy in front of me sensor, then do this action, otherwise do that other action, or go off on a different branch in the routine. So that should allow some actual kind of behavior other than just blindly following routines. There are the ones with the lasers. I've given them lasers, but I haven't got them to actually use them. Let's get them to do like a long block and then fire off some laser shots at something. I've got to fix up that thing so they don't disappear while I'm doing that. And then take a step forward. And let's hope that doesn't take too long and have them stepping on each other. But that's the kind of thing a sensor could do. Sensing if there's a friendly right in front of you, then don't take a step forward. Just keep firing over their shoulder. Looks like they're just missing each other, so that's good. But yeah, I've just refactored it because I realized the functionality in this that was being overridden. I didn't need to anymore because of some changes I'd made. So this actually would work for any of these simple activatable parts which is a hittable object and can therefore be destroyed and then might be broken. So by default, broken is false, but shields are breakable. But that doesn't have to be a shield. So let's just rename that to I'm going to call it hittable activatable part. There we go. So basically, at the moment, the shield is the only part, but any part that can take damage can be hit and take damage. Pop a hittable object on it, and no, it has to have a child with a hittable object. And that is basically because of how I have it nested, and I think that's a reasonable constraint to have on that structure at the moment. Yeah, so then I can reuse this on anything, not just shields. Anything that's basically sticking out in front of them and could possibly take damage, because I think that'd be pretty cool. Oh yeah, you'll notice also like the red flashing, that's malfunctioning, and it's pretty clear once you select the bot. It's when they hit something that's not supported by their parts. So in this case, the legs, these type of legs can't turn left because they're the budget legs. So it just malfunctions instead. But if I make something, let's see, what have we got? This is the only enemy factory left. If they don't destroy it, let's make these guys not good. We'll get rid of the laser. We'll give them, just 2 shields. Again, slow them down a bit by adding those standard legs back on. They're a bit more expensive, so that might... No, are we being capped on... So we got yellow as energy. Looks like we're being capped on metal here because the metal's not building up over time. Each factory just generates a certain amount of metal and energy. So if the combination of parts you're using is too expensive, it'll use... Oh no, they're all destroyed. Let's restart. Which at the moment, restarting is only done by this. By actually stopping and restarting it. And actually, now that I've renamed that, I think that's basically this task finished. And so, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's something I want to do later, but I've got an item down here for that. So instead of just short block and long block, you can sort of go, block for 10 seconds, 9.5 seconds, whatever you like. I think that's basically working, and that means I've finished making a general interface for interacting with parts. So basically the robot used to have all this code that would switch through different parts, and it would do different things. The parts were just sort of direct children of the bot, and they weren't on mount points or anything. But I've changed it now, so except for the bot movement, which is still done in the robot, and I haven't updated that yet, all the other parts, it'll pretty much just in a generic way call activate on them, pass the action, and then that'll return a status about whether it activated or not. That's these statuses. Let's move that to its own file where it should be. So if it gets back activated, then it knows that the activation worked. Otherwise, it's sort of some other failure, which I'm not doing anything different with these. They're all just going to cause it to do the malfunction animation. But now, it can just call activate. It's got this iRobopart interface that all of the parts have to have. and then it can call activate, and all these protector methods just used. That one should be protected too. Wait, have I really got a separate animator is not idle? Oh, because that's when it's doing an action. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so that doesn't need to be accessed from anywhere except for this class and its subclasses. So that's fine. So yeah, it's got a way to check whether the part is doing an action, so it knows whether it should do a new action. It just polls that on update in the update loop, and yeah, this basically means that the robot, this bit of code here, doesn't have to really know much about the parts, which is good. It keeps it focused on what it needs to know, which is just what's the routine, like what's my routine, what step of the routine am I on, and just advance the routine and do the next action when I'm not doing an action anymore. That's the core functionality of the bot, and that's what this script should do and focus on. So keeping the single responsibility principle. And I don't need that open in a separate thing next to there. I just had it there to compare them. So let's get that a bit more sensibly sized and move on with stuff. So yeah, now this is no longer up next, but it's the current task. Basic gameplay loop. Actually, I might put that there because I'll just grab these out of here. Yeah, that's right. Just mirror that into there. There we go. Just minimize that backlog. And so, yeah, here we are. Set up a victory condition. So let's do it. So basically when all of these factories are destroyed, that's the victory condition. And who's going to keep track of that? I don't know if I even have anything that would keep track of that right now. Because so far I've just had like the simulating, nothing to coordinate the game itself. So I think I need to make an overarching game controller, and I'll just put that on a new game object. Call this game manager. I'll put that right up here underneath the main camera. I might also just check that these to-dos are... oh, before I do too much of that, actually. Yeah, I'm just going to make a commit with those refactors in. So we've renamed shield to hittable activatable part and simplified it down. And moved to part activation status. So this is all just refactors. And yeah, just made that protected. That's pretty much it. So this is just a refactor. Yeah. I'm just going to say, yeah, refactors around simple activatable part. That's good enough for me. What have we got here? Omega Kill, you're running a thread-safe file system driver for a microcontroller at the moment. Cool. And manually doing threading is interesting. It sounds like interesting challenges that you have because you're working with limited memory in those. Sort of like, I probably said this before. It sounds a bit like halfway between regular coding and a puzzle game. You're trying to figure out how can I make this do this within this limited memory footprint. And I guess maybe limited instruction sets or something? Or is it pretty much just whatever is supported by C or C++ that you're using, it can do, as long as you don't go outside the available memory. Let's make this game manager script. I haven't got my scripts super sort of structured into directories here, since I still haven't got that much going on. Really got to replace this template with something. Let's make sure this is a singleton. Let me just grab a different thing that is a singleton. Oh, that's the ini file for that pixel notifier, by the way. I had figured out more of them, but yeah, I could only support 9. Not limited. Yeah, cool. Does that differ per type of microcontroller? So do you need to kind of adapt to each one, or is it kind of a specific subset that applies to all of them? Yeah, it's either a fun puzzle or a nightmare to keep track of by the sound of it, depending on, I guess, mainly how much time pressure there is. I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab 9 of these. Uncomment them. It doesn't know how to uncomment things, but I do. And let's just, oops, that's not going to work quite as nicely. I'm going to save that ini file. I'm going to close this pixel notifier and then rerun it once I figure out where I put it. 1 second. Who knows what I've got open on the file system over here. Oh, there we go. Is that? Where did I put that? There we go, okay. There we go. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. That has worked. Okay. Well, I'm getting lots of notifications because I have the color linear. Actually, I think that might have just burned through all of those. Let me just have a quick look here. Yeah, so most of them have hit. That one hasn't, but that's probably just to do with like gaps in between, and if the distance I spaced them out was like that. No, not a perfect solution. One day, I should just really like dig into the code for OBS here and see what I can do to get. Surely it can't be that hard to make this make noise. I think it's like the workaround is you can make it do a system notification, which is like, that's probably good enough actually for noticing chat messages, but still, system notifications are annoying when I just want a little sound. Anyway, I got distracted there, so I tracked, let's find another singleton. The robot spawner is a singleton. And the reason I'm doing that is because the way that I'm making singletons here, I can't create these things because Unity has to create the instances of the mono behaviors. But what I can do is check if I've already got one. So I've got this static property called instance, and if it's null, I can set it to that, and that instance should be a game manager here, and I want that to say game manager. Yeah, so on awake, if there's no instance, then set the instance to this, and so that way now everything can just access through game manager.instance to get this. And if it wasn't null, it means that this must not be the first one and a different one's already registered itself, so we just destroy it so that we don't have to, and log this error so that I figure out that I've got 2 and go and delete one of the instances. Speaking of 2, or speaking of the number of instances, it's also possible that there could be 0 instances. And so I'm going to put this on here before I forget. Otherwise, I'll wonder, why is my code not running? And there will be a reason. And the reason is because I haven't attached the code onto anything. It's not actually in the scene. Okay, so what do we want? Victory condition. How do we check that? When do we check that? I think we're going to check that every time something is destroyed. Every time a factory is destroyed, not a robot. So report factory destroyed. This is something that can be called by a factory. When it is destroyed, and I can then just check, are all of the enemy factories destroyed? Or are all of these, I guess you can fail as well. That's a possibility. Check for victory or failure, which is going to be look in friendly factories, look in enemy factories. So that is going to be a, let's use a transform here. Let's duplicate that for enemy factories. And so that's kind of what we're going to be doing. There we go. And I'll just grab my factory script. Just there. And so we're using factory or hittable object to destroy those things. I think these factories are hittable objects. And that might be what destroys them. So we've got the factory script. Here we've got hittable object. So we've got the health bar and the explosion and so on. So let me just have a look in hittable object and see what we've got. And what did I change in here? Oh yeah, I cleaned up those imports. That's fine. Alright, so I'll grab a hittable object. So that needs a collider and a rigid body. Just checking when we decide if we have been destroyed. We take damage, and then when we have taken damage, we update the health bar, and if HP equals 0, we make an explosion and we destroy. To do, make a cool noise. Yes, I should record a cool noise. Like, or something. I'll put that in. So I'm getting a little distracted by this. Different MCUs support different features. Now I know you're talking about microcontroller some things, but I keep reading different Marvel Cinematic Universes support different feature sets, which is probably true, but I don't think that's what you mean. Anyway, yeah, so this is basically the place where the factory's destroyed, and it should be destroyed. Now, I could have this be reporting directly to the game manager to say, hey, something was destroyed, and then it can do its victory check. But the other thing it could do is maybe before destroying the game object, it could send a message, give something else attached to the game object, such as the factory script, a chance to react to it being destroyed. Microcontroller units. Cool. There we go. That chat thing worked. I think the problem with this. Oh, and the reason for anyone new that that's so exciting is that I'm really good at missing chat messages. We've still got one thing. As soon as these things detect the color, then they turn off, unless I enable them all. But they're also from a specific color, so I can't just sort of go, okay, if any of the pixels in here change, then do a notification, which would be nice. That would be better than what I've got set up. But anyway, it's so yeah, it's basically a thing to help me notice that there are chat messages, despite Restream's best effort to make it not do that. Because who wants to watch a stream and send messages and not get any reaction? I forgot that I put mixed up some different spices together to make pumpkin spice, or at least some approximation of it. It's not made out of pumpkins. I think it's just is it like what you use for pumpkin pies? But it's just cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, cloves, allspice, maybe a bit of something else. Very easy to make. And I think it's still technically winter here, so that's good. Anyway, where was I? So yeah, I might be able to send a message here. I might just here. Unity send message to other scripts. Same game object. Game object send message might be what I'm looking for. I haven't really used it much. Let's have a look at that. Calls the method name on every mono behavior in this game object. Perfect. That's exactly what I need. So this is what we need. Send message, method name, value, and some options. Require receiver. Okay. So yeah, there's a value to pass in. Should an error be raised if the method doesn't exist on the target object? Excellent. Perfect. So yeah, so this basically means that I can keep this hittable object really focused on what it's doing and have the factories handle going, yep, I'm a factory, so I'll report my destruction to the game object, to the game manager, and not have like every single robot being destroyed cause a recheck for victory, because the robots being destroyed is irrelevant other than its impact on the destruction or not of the factories. So I'm just going to send a message. I've got to come up with a name for that. I'm not going to have a value at all. And with this options, I think the default is require receiver. So let's just look what send message options has in it. Don't require receiver seems like a good one, because if this is if this hittable object script is on a robot, I don't even have to define this method in a robot. This is really that it is dying. Killed. Let's call it killed. Yep, we were destroyed. No, let's go killed. That's fine. All right, cool. So if I go into factory, where have I put factory now? It's run away. I'm going to close some of these things. Ah, there we go. Found factory. Closing some things was the right move. Got a lot of things I could close. Anyway, so factory. I'll just implement that destroyed method. Cool. So yeah, factories are all about making robots, generating these. I could even separate the generating of resources out into a separate script, really, because there is a lot going on in factories already. It's like it's not that much, but it is beyond the. That's not needed. It is beyond the size of module that is needed. Oh, I'm just using its on destroy script. And this is just like reporting directly to the thing that has the selection that it was destroyed, and that is used to make sure that we not trying to access a destroyed robot. But I do like this. I don't know if this has to be public. Let's try private. I could even make an interface, a killable interface, that means you have to implement this. But no. Basically, this is called by hittable object when this is killed. Oh, that's interesting. I don't necessarily even have to destroy the hittable object. I don't have to do the destroy in the hittable object if I wanted to have different things that happen when things are killed. Sometimes they might be destroyed, sometimes they might go back to an object pool, or something like that. Anyway, we want the game manager instance. We want to report that a factory was destroyed. Do I want to say what the factory was? Doesn't really matter. It's going to just look and count them anyway. And actually, we don't even need to do that. Like, it doesn't matter if a factory was destroyed exactly. It's really just check for victory. But no, the game manager cares about victory. Factories just care that they were destroyed. So yeah, they're not going to tell the game manager what to do. They're not going to say, hey, you should check for victory. Let's just check if it being private is okay or not. I could just make it public just anyway, but I only try to make things have the level of access that they need, but I do tend to use public instead of internal. For some reason. It means it's slightly more accessible, but it doesn't matter. Oh, by the way, these are the kamikazes. They're the cheapest possible bot that can actually move, and so they just spawn quickly and just go as quickly as they can to go and crash into the enemy factory. Pretty effective strategy, but I think you can counter it pretty easily with just a laser build. So if you just have something that comes out and just starts blasting, and maybe get rid of the shield, just do double laser and give them some cheaper legs so they spawn faster. And now I do want to move the movement to the other end of their thing, so they'll take a step out and just start blasting immediately. I just want to get them doing whatever they can. It looks like that's energy limited now. So the metal's sort of building up. Yeah, there's like a couple of steps in between. I think we can do a few more. Let's get a whole bunch of lasering. Oh, I'll move take a step to the end. You can't like pick it up and drag it from here yet. But yeah, that's how you counter the kamikaze build, because if you get blown up before you crash into something, then you don't do any damage. How close are those guys to each other now? I think it's safe to do like maybe 2 more shots. Let's see if we start having them destroy each other by crashing into each other. Recommend you a song by a band to listen to. I have no idea about your taste in music, so let's just assume my taste in music. Okay. The band is Ninja Sex Party, or NSP for short, and the song is I don't know what we're talking about. I have ADHD. Out of all the songs that I have heard, that one's probably one of the best at communicating the experience of having ADHD. So, yes, do listen to that. It is, well, I don't know if you'll enjoy it, but I do. And pretty much anything by NSP, I would say is a good bet if I was choosing something for me to listen to. So there you go. Have a listen and tell me what you think. So this is killed. Hey, where am I up to here? Are these running that code? Or was like... So I just lost track of what I was doing there, but we got some animator errors here. Is this set to clear on play or not? It is. So whenever I started playing, I don't remember if I had that running before I started talking there. So let's just clear that and see what's going on with this invalid layer, because that's something that I need to fix, just to keep my console nice and tidy so that I will notice legitimate errors. All right, so basically, oh, right. We've got to actually destroy a factory before anything's going to happen there. Have I given myself enough control over my factories? Let's have a look at this enemy factory, the first one. So I've got the factory script and HP, max HP, so on. Yes, the HP is going down. So let's set that to 1. Now when that factory takes some damage, oops, no, don't set it to invincible. So yeah, the first laser that comes out of there, if the bot doesn't spawn, there we go, kaboom. Did we get, okay, so I've got a few things going on here. Let me just pause. So I've got whatever this invalid layer index is. This is an animator trying to go to an invalid layer. It's in my robot script. Okay. I'm trying to do animator.play generic action. And that is in the robot animator, so I'll just grab a robot here. It doesn't have generic action. That might have been something that was like lost somewhere along the lines. But yeah, most of these aren't needed anymore. So this is what the robot used to do. It had this animator with all these different states. But pretty much now it's just got malfunction and it still has spawn, so that just moves it out of the factory and then gets set on its routine. And we still have the movement ones, walk forward, turn left, turn right. They're still doing stuff, and that's just because I haven't got around to updating the thing. Because it kind of needs to flip things around a bit for the legs to be able to control the movement. It's on the list anyway. But then these ones, shoot, laser, and block, they're not needed. This looks like whatever got saved when I created that state before I'd renamed it. So let's just rename that one to generic action. Do I even need that? I don't think I need that. I think I used to need that. Yeah, I don't think I need this, because basically it used to be that the robot would check, am I in idle state? And yeah, it would, if it's doing an action, that basically means it would check if the animator is playing something other than idle. But now that is actually defined as look at your parts and check if any are doing actions. Return true if you find a part that's doing an action. And then, if it didn't find any parts doing actions, then this is still here just because of movement and malfunction. So we'll check, we might be doing a malfunction animation. So we had an action that we don't actually have a part for because it was destroyed or it just wasn't added. So yeah, we check if it's idle and if it's playing. If it's playing something that's not idle, then we're doing an action, and that's basically if it's playing spawn or malfunction or any of these move actions. So I don't think we need that, because we're basically going to hit this and return true if we have a part that's doing an action. And so here, when a part was activated, so this is the check if a part was activated. Yeah, so we try to activate each part, we get that result back, and if the result was that, then we flip something activated to true. I could even put the number of parts activated, like add one to it, but all we need to know is that anything was activated. If something was, if it was movement, then we're starting whatever movement action. But I think I just don't need that. I'm going to comment it out. And that was a very verbose way of saying, I'm going to comment this out and see if it works, rather than add a thing, add another state in there that's not actually needed. And speaking of states that aren't needed, I'm going to also delete shoot laser and block because they are also obsolete now. The robot doesn't need to know about those, it just needs to know it's got parts and they get activated. Which there aren't many parts right now, but this is just getting the system in place. And then once the system's in place, I can create a whole bunch of parts. You have all kinds of different weapons you could choose, different, shields and other things. Whatever you want to put on there. A grav gun, some kind of water pistol that will wet the enemy robot, cause them to short circuit perhaps. Who knows? The EMP generator. Rocket backpack. The list goes on. What am I doing? That is done. Make sure that's cleared. Did we actually get the message for the destroyed factory? I don't know. There were too many log messages. So let's just get that enemy factory here and just make it a scrawny, nearly dead weakling. Oops. It's not actually updating that health bar because the condition to update the health bar, it's not doing it on update, it's just doing it whenever it gets hit. So There we go. Destroyed. To do. Check for victory. Excellent. That's just what I wanted to see. So we're all good there. So there's just a little sanity check to make sure that I'm not writing this code and then wondering why is it not working? Oh, and did I give it these things? No, I did not. So that's friendly factories right there, and that's enemy factories. I can find these in code, but I find it's just a bit quicker and also just less code to maintain if I do it this way, making a serialized field so we can put that on there. So let's get rid of that to do because we've got this as our to do, and this is a better kind of to do because it shows up here to remind us. So what are we going to do? We're going to look at friendly factories. Just put that there. I think you just iterate. To get the child count. Now, I'm just having a little thought here that if this factory gets killed, it's going to call that when it gets killed. But we do have that's not going to find it. Why did I try and jump to it from there? So hittable object there is sending that message before it actually destroys that game object. So if it looks at what's in here inside enemy factories, and the last enemy factory is destroyed, it's going to find one factory. So we don't want that. So I think what we want here is yeah, just like the transform of the destroyed factory, or even just factory. We'll call it destroyed. That's its name. Why do I not just pin the things that I'm working with right now so that they're always there? Right, so that factory then can give itself and I could pass this factory's game object or transform or itself. Wow, that's a big long description up there. It doesn't quite get the white space when you hover it. Anyway, so now we get that that destroyed factory there. Do I want to get the child count? I think so. And then what do I want to do with that though? Yes, I would like to iterate it. So what kind of thing is this factory? It's an object, really? Is this an object, really? It's not a transform? If the factory is not equal to destroyed dot transform, then that means we're not destroyed. Because there's something in there that's not destroyed. So basically, we want to check this. If the child count is oh yes, that bit that reminded you of Queen was a direct reference to Queen, I'm sure. Oh, I have ADHD. My taste in music is all over the place. So I can listen to metal sometimes. It depends what I'm trying to do as well, though, because well, I don't tend to usually listen to music while I'm coding, or when I do, it has to be very specific types of music that don't distract me, and that means anything with words is out, pretty much, and even a lot of instrumental stuff is out. But yeah, I got to actually Queen's pretty good. Favorite Queen song. My favorite Queen album is A Night at the Opera, and I think my favorite song on there is 39. So I'd highly recommend listening to that. But there's some depth to it. So it isn't quite what it initially sounds like. You could look it up and, like, if you're not aware, and find out what it's about. But I would recommend listening to it first and trying to figure out what it's about. The only clue I'll give you is that the band member who wrote the song is a physicist. So, but yeah, really cool song. But yeah, I like a whole bunch of different bands. It's really kind of, I probably have some genres that I like more songs from than others, but I don't kind of try to stick to any particular genre or seek out a particular genre. I'm kind of the same with people too. I was never kind of identifying with one group of people, or clothing style, or whatever people seem to get in cliques about. I just go talk to everyone, and yeah, you just find the people who are cool to hang out with, which doesn't generally tend to be based on what kind of group they're in. Right, so what are we doing? If our child count is less, well, there are a few different conditions. I'm trying to deal with a few different things here. So basically, friendlies is this. That's how many friendlies we've got. So basically, if friendlies is 0, then that's like a fail. Why am I putting that around there? I'm just going to do this as a debug log right now, because I don't have any UI that I can show. So if we've got 1, then we just want to check print factory. Child 0. Why did that do that? Because I just typed that. Okay, this is giving us a transform. So if child 0 is the destroyed one, then once again, we're going to be in a game over state. Should probably just make a game over method that each of these can call. Okay, and I won't have an else there. It just isn't game over, but we're going to go on with our checks for the next thing. But I'm just going to have a look at something I can pull out of here. What am I doing? Making another variable that's exactly the same value, but just has a different name? Why would anyone do something like that? Oops. We will extract a method from here. This method will be called any factories left. Now that's just a thing I can inline. There we go. So the rename was just so that the name would be correct in here. Cool. Will that work? Let's not do that. So we can just use child count, hey? Cool. Let's make it a switch statement, hey? Surely we have a switch statement. Don't mind me, I'm just trying to figure out what my thing can do. IDE. Is this the syntax? We don't want void there, we want bool. Oh. Must have hit insert by mistake there. Booly factory, hey? I guess it can be static. Oh, right, yeah. Case 1. We do not want to just return true. So just pop that there, and then I'll think about whether I've got that around the right way. Yes, we want to return that, but is it the right way? So if we've got one, but the only child is the destroyed one, then that does count as any factories left false. So we want false to be destroyed, to be returned, and like that. So if there's a child that is not the destroyed one, then there must be any factories left true. So yeah, that should do that. And now we don't need any of that. So yeah, that's a bit more concise. And then any other count, we will return true. Why do you choose to give me this indentation? So these don't need break because they're returning. Use a switch expression. Let's see what that would look like. Sure. Slightly more concise because it hasn't got the case statement. C A S. Yeah, that's pretty good. So we've got those three characters instead of CASE colon. So that's cool. Anyway, right. Enough messing about. If we don't have any factories left out of the friendly factories, I should swap those parameters around. I'll do that later. Then basically it's game over. Yeah, actually, we need that. Actually, I won't do return. Oh, yeah, I will. That's a bit rude. Let's just log to do implement. Game over. We'll just throw an exception and explode. And then should be able to do something pretty similar for the enemy factories. We're just going to look at enemy factories instead, and instead of game over, it'll be victory. So let me just generate that. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to generate that method. Yes. Very similar to the game over method, of course. Don't need to return at that point because we're just going to pull out of the end of here anyway. Okay, a little bit of cleanup. We are doing that check. We don't need that log anymore. Well, hopefully we don't. Where is my thing here? Can I just change the signature? And can I just move that to there? Okay. Just swapping those two around because it's like makes more sense to me. Then we don't really need that on there either. That'll do. Okay, so now I should be able to run this and I'll get a successful victory. Oh, geez, look at the time. I've gone like half an hour over what I should have. So I'll run that anyway. And I'll leave implementing the actual UI for victory or game over to for another day. Next stream. But I'll just confirm that's working. So I've been setting up the victory condition. Yes, I'll need the basic menu. That'll be where I'll show the victory screen or the game over screen. Right, so let me just get a victory to happen and just go through all these enemy factories and give them all one hit point instead of however many they had. One each. What? 0, no, 1. Oh, it's getting set to 0 for some. Let's check down here. So we've got nothing reporting yet. That's going up. Okay, we're going to need some more effective bots down here. Or some less effective bots here. Oh, they're not being very effective because they're just malfunctioning, wasting their time on malfunctioning instead of actually like just fire us and laser us. And a bit of a block. That'll work. Oh, last thing got destroyed just then. Oh, I've still got logging in for those drag and drops. But it looks like I didn't get victory getting printed out. Okay, that should fix up that. Definitely didn't see a victory condition there. But enemy factories is empty. So that's annoying. Knowing that it did not work, so why not? Wait, any factories left? False. Factory. The factory's only child is not the destroyed one. That would be true, otherwise it would be false. And otherwise true. Looks right. Anyway, I guess I'll finish that next time. So that's yeah. Still need to debug my victory. Game over. Messages aren't playing. There we go. All right. I better end this stream because I'm already not going to get enough sleep. I need to set myself an alarm to finish the stream. I'm getting there. I'll slowly cobble together bits and pieces of stream Thanks for the chats, interesting questions, and so on. I've been me, who is David from Total Pixel, and I've been doing a different task from what that says. I really need to integrate this with my task management here. What I've been doing is setting up the game loop. Alrighty, there we go. At least that now says the right thing. Cool. Thank you. Goodbye. Good night. And I think I said half of something and stopped, but that's fine. End of stream. I'll see you in the next one in 2 or 3 days. 3, I believe.